Hello, everyone. This is Michael from Vendure. I'm here with my co-founder, David. We're going to do something special today. This was unexpected, but this is something that came from the community. The backstory of this video is that one of our community members, Kevin from Finein, he suggested that we should do some kind of Q&A because there's so much interest around the upcoming version 2. Last week, we published our beta release and the blog post to go with it. There was a ton of reaction and interest on Slack, and Kevin thought, well, I'm sure people have questions. Why don't we address those in a video? And so he put together a survey, and we're just going to go through it, and we're going to answer the questions, and whatever topics come up, we're going to then use them as a springboard to talk about some of the cool stuff that's coming in Vendure 2. For those who didn't see the blog post and don't really know what I'm talking about, I'll just give it a little bit of backstory, right? So Vendure version 1 came out 2 years ago, in May, I think, 2021. And since then, we've been working towards Vendure 2. We've since then had like a ton of experience of Vendure in production with companies of all sizes, like small boutique shops, startups, big retailers, enterprises, Fortune 500 companies, and all sorts of sizes in between and different use cases. And through all that experience, we've learned like what works really well, what's missing, and what we need to put in there to build the ultimate headless commerce framework. And that's Vendure 2. It's really close. We're about a month away. Maybe I shouldn't give estimates. So working in software, you kind of, well, I think I've got to double it, but no, we're going for about a month. There's a blog post, which I'll link down below, and it gives a bit more of a kind of overview of the actual technical details of what's coming up. Let's jump into the questions.
I think the first question was pretty general. Are you already using Vendure? And almost 60% said no. And that was it left us thinking, okay, are you evaluating Vendure or not? Or are you just taking a look? Or if you're not using Vendure right now and you see the video, maybe you can comment down below why you are not using Vendure as of now. Are there specific reasons for that? Are you waiting for version 2? Or are you just like taking a look at it and comparing it to others? Let us know in the comments.
And my personal kind of read about that was that I think there are a lot of people who are waiting for certain features, especially the marketplace support, because for the past year and a half or so, there have been so many people come into Slack and they're trying to build a marketplace. There's not really much out there if you want to build a marketplace on open source technologies, maybe even closed source as well, I don't know. But it's like a huge gap, and that was where we decided to put a big focus of Vendure 2 on really first-class marketplace support. So I think there's a lot of marketplaces about to be produced on Vendure 2 in the next year.
Next question is basically, I'm using Vendure S, so who are the people who are using Vendure? And I think we are seeing a clear trend that mostly developers are using Vendure right now. Of course, there were some business owners also, but mostly developers. And I think that's because the developer experience is so great. I think that's one reason. But I think with version 2 and also the next steps we're taking as a company, I think we want to approach also business owners, executives, head of e-commerce, and so on, to basically show them the benefits of headless commerce and specifically of Vendure, of course.
And I think that really mirrors the development of Vendure itself. It was, it started off as a one-person open source project built by a developer for developers, and I really concentrated on that aspect, and I know how to speak to developers, so I think we attracted a primarily like developer-heavy audience. But I think, as you say, our future ahead lies in not just catering to the developer community, but also the decision makers, because at the end of the day, a developer might love the technology, but they don't always have the power to choose, we're going to use this for the next project. And that's where it comes to being able to sell this to the person who makes the decision on what technology is going to be used for the next project.
And I think it's also about selling the topic of headless commerce, not only Vendure, but I think we are strongly believing in the architecture itself, like the headless approach to things. And Vendure is part of a community of systems out there that is using the headless approach. And I think our job is to sell the headless approach to executives. And that's a hard job to do, to be honest. I think developers, when you give them a good CLI and some fresh mockups and a great performance of the tool itself and some great base technologies, they are happy, but business owners and executives, they don't really care about that. They need, good arguments with business value behind it. And I think that's what we are also working on right now.
So the next one's interesting. It says, what's the feature you want to know more about? And there was a bunch of different options, but there was like there was a couple of clear areas, which is, what's this? Multivendor. And orders. I think maybe that ties in with the multi-vendor aspect. When you have a multi-vendor type of application, it has certain implications about how orders are handled. They become a bit more complex, and you got to split things. And maybe this is where people's interest lies. And then the admin UI.
Great topic.
Yes, definitely. And we have definitely something to say about that later and something to show. So we'll get to that at the end.
Next
question. Do you want to take on the next one? Yeah.
Absolutely. One of the questions was, when to launch admin UI? So when are we launching the admin UI, Michael? When is the new baby born, basically?
Yeah, so the new admin UI will be part of the Vendure 2 launch. It will be there from the day one of the actual launch. We have a lot of plans for the admin UI. So the initial launch will be basically a full refresh of the look and feel. But then in subsequent minor releases, 2.1, 2.2, and so on, we do have like a lot of plans of some really nice improvements for the admin UI. One thing we've been talking about recently is like a universal search. So you've got a search bar from where you can find, like, you can put in an order number or an email address and find customers, or a facet value name and bring up the editor and so on. So it's basically one place to just quickly access any information, which will make the experience for admins way smoother, I think. Should we take this opportunity to actually show the work done so far? That would fit. Okay.
Yeah.
So how should we do this? I guess I can share the screen.
I mean, while you're bringing up the screen, there was also a question about Vendure free and paid developer training, university or course. I mean, that's a topic we already spoke about in our last Q&A, that we are focusing on that. And I think that's also to our next step. That's our first seed investment, so that we can grow the company. And as soon as we have that ready, we will also focus on producing the content for the academy, the Vendure Academy. We have a basic concept in mind. It won't just be a video course where you have like 3 multiple choice questions and then you get your certificate. No, we are planning on implementing live validated code of certain features and snippets where we have automated testing and so on. But of course, that's a lot of work, a lot of manpower, and womanpower, of course, has to go into that. And that will be a thing for the second half of this year and the beginning of next year. But now let's have a look at our great new admin UI.
Right, let me see if it works this time. I want to share. What do I want? I want to share my other monitor. Yeah, so then I can see it at the same time. Okay, right.
Now it's working.
So here we see this is a design mockup that is produced by our designer. It's not the final thing, but if you see the menu on the left, that's more or less finalized the general layout. Today we've been working with our designer on some of the smaller kind of details for list views, and how do we want to present tables, how do we want to handle universal filtering and search inside a list view. So that's what we've been kind of iterating on of late. There's one other view I can show. So this is the order list view. You can see here, again, some of these styles are not finalized, but you get an overall idea. The menu here, we've got the page title, the breadcrumbs, extra text area here, potentially that we might use, a standardized way of displaying tabs. And I think one exciting thing about this redesign will be that we're going to really heavily standardize layouts in the admin UI, which will open up a whole lot of new possibilities in terms of how can we customize the admin UI. Like right now, there are certain points where you can kind of slot your own components in, but it's quite limited. I envisage with this redesign, we can have a really standardized system which will allow you to pick, okay, on this page, in this column, on this slot, I want to put this component, or here's a tab I want to add to the tabs list. And that will make it so you can really, really customize the whole experience of the admin UI even more seamlessly than how you can at the moment. So that's something I'm really excited about.
I think it also shows that we are not only focusing on developers in the future. I mean, developers will be an important user group of Vendure, of course, and I think Michael is looking after them like his babies, and you will get the best CLI and APIs and SDKs and whatever. But we also have other user groups in the future that we need to satisfy, and the admin UI is an important part, and that's why we invest some time in that area. And it also, I think it makes the usage much better. I think you open it up and it looks great. You want to use Vendure. Vendure under the hood is really good. Now we're bringing in the visuals, and I think that's the perfect foundation to take over the headless world. So I got another interesting question, or it's a really long question or statement. That's why I'm breaking it down. So basically, it's about configuring Vendure without touching the Vendure config file. So everything should be configurable via the graphic user interface, basically. And I mean, we never thought about that. We never discussed that option, to be honest. What are your thoughts on that, Michael? What do you think?
Yeah, this is something that I've spoken about before to a few different people who come up with this suggestion, and I think it really gets to the heart of like one of the early decisions that I made when I was designing Vendure, and it's between this paradigm of like developer centric or kind of admin centric. So if you look at something like WordPress, for example, this is a great example of a system which can be dynamically extended. You can just add a plugin or an extension directly from the admin dashboard. It will actually like put some new source code on your server. It will put new stuff in your database in real time, which gives this really nice seamless experience. But on the other hand, it has trade-offs. Trade-offs include, all this stuff is not under source control. It's harder to keep a handle on what's actually going on with your production system. People can just install plugins which might have security issues that have not been audited, or that might not play well with other extensions that you've got installed. So there's definitely a trade-off there. I think in general, like the approach of Vendure of being a developer tool aimed at helping developers build things, it makes sense that we have all of our config in the source code under source control. But I can see a possibility that you could actually implement a plugin which has a kind of a runtime kind of extension marketplace type of experience. I mean, the way that WordPress does it, for example, they got like one mega table which has like every config setting possible in it, and you can just add new rows to it. There's nothing to stop you doing that in a Vendure plugin. Just define a new table that stores like just config values, and then you can write extensions which will just add rows to those config values and so on. So it's possible. it's not something we have planned for the immediate future. It could even be something that arises as a third-party plugin or a third-party system. I don't know. We have to see, but that's the beauty of the open source ecosystem, because people are thinking about these things all the time, and they're probably going to evolve their own kind of interpretations. And with Vendure, we like to make the API open enough for you to build anything that you can imagine on top of it.
Yeah, I think what the user who sent in this this question or this statement, I think what he really means is that he is able to use Vendure as a platform, like a platform as a service at the end. Just use it. Don't code anything, like a no code or low code tool. I think that's what he or she means. And of course, there's one thing we have in the back of our hand. That's the Vendure Cloud. We will be also working on in the future. And I think there could be a version where you just install Vendure with a single click, and then you have like basic options to modify the Vendure instance without writing actual code. But doing it like WordPress or even Shopify, which is even one step further, I think that's against the Vendure approach in general, and I think that's too extreme that we can fit it in. But there's always a way to do something like that, and platform as a service offer would be something we are thinking about, of course.
Yeah, that's the way I can see it going. It's like, it comes down to how can we make the developer experience as smooth as possible in every aspect. And something like that, like a platform that knows Vendure, it knows how things should be configured, and you can just get it up and running like with a few clicks, like you can with some of these more like front end oriented platforms like Netlify or Vercel. That would be a great goal to have for a Vendure platform offering, I think.
There's also a question if we are able to invest more time in giving some insights how to host or deploy Vendure in production, especially on, I would say, the plain classic Ubuntu server.
Yeah, I did some work on this recently, like in the past couple of months here. Okay, so in the docs, there's now a deployment section. And this does contain some guides, like how to configure for production and like resource requirements. And if you want to use Docker, for example, it's got some guides on that, Kubernetes and so on. But yeah, in terms of like step-by-step guides, which maybe is what this person wants, I think we can definitely do more. I mean, the docs as they are good. I think most people like the docs, but one thing I think they're definitely lacking is more high-level guides type things, like that hold your hand and take you step by step, where you've got a particular goal, like, oh, I want to implement price lists, or I want to implement like avatars for customers, and they take this like single use case, or I want to deploy to an Ubuntu server, or I want to deploy to DigitalOcean or whatever. And they take you step by step through to achieving this goal in a way you can kind of copy paste and just follow simple steps. Once version 2 is out, I think there'll be a bit more scope for kind of spending some time on these non-core aspects of the developer experience.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think as soon as we have developer support for Michael, he can focus a lot more on those topics that are not really correlated, but give you certain best practices. I think that's one task he will focus on in the future, of course, as soon we have our team up and running.
Yeah, my ideal like scene as the CTO is to be able to spend my days kind of doing crazy experiments, doing deep dives on certain topics, like research and development type things. As much as I enjoy doing issue triage on GitHub and fixing bugs, I think there's even more interesting things I could be doing. So we're working towards that.
Giving keynotes every second weekend.
Stressing me out just saying that.
Yeah, but that's also another topic. I mean, we
yes.
Talking about keynotes and conference and so on. we're also thinking about hosting a vendor conference, a yearly vendor conference. And I think this year will be maybe too early, and maybe we'll do something really spontaneous and maybe in a smaller circle. But next year, I think there will be a bigger event, and I'm open for feedback, also for wishes and for your expectations as a community. What do you think would be great? I mean, what we will definitely have is a great after party and great beer, because that's my task.
It will be amazing, actually.
And maybe it will be also a revival of Michael's band.
I have nightmares about it.
I'm voting for
I can't
it.
remember how to play.
Yeah, I mean, I started playing the guitar beginning of this year. I mean, I can do like a few chords.
So
are
you've got
working.
maybe a year to polish things up, and then we're doing a duet on the after party. Okay.
Absolutely. I mean, after 10 beers, I'm doing anything. But there's one thing left on our survey, and that's the question: what's your use case for Venture right now, or what are you planning to do? And I think we have a few answers, and most of them are actually marketplace use cases.
I was right. Yeah.
You were totally right, and I think that's a big opportunity for Venture, and also a big opportunity for Venture users, because I think we are the first open source, maybe also closed source system that's based on the modern day technologies like Node.js, JavaScript, TypeScript, and so on, that's really supporting marketplace functionality from the database level on, not just like in the APIs and so on, but really from the database on. And I think that will be an interesting use case also from a business perspective. Many companies are thinking about implementing marketplaces, especially also in the B2B world, because typically companies share the same customers and there are complementary products, and I think that will be a great opportunity for agencies and developers to build products for that segment. Absolutely.
Yeah. And I think this really aligns with what I was talking about before, with Venture being positioned as a tool to help people build things, right? It's not a Shopify where you can do one click and then you're selling things. You do have to build something. But the great thing is there's lots of talented developers and there's lots of business leaders with fantastic ideas. They just need the tools to help them to build these things. Once you give them the tools, then people are building amazing things on top of Venture. I learned, every day almost I'm getting contacted on Slack or LinkedIn or whatever, and I learn about these amazing projects that are being built. I can't share them all because a lot of them aren't finished, or they're kind of not publicly able to be announced yet. But that's one thing I want to really work on also this year, is getting more case studies to showcase what some of these projects are that people are building on top of Venture, because there's really some amazing stuff out there that we should shout about more.
Absolutely, 100%. There's so many great projects and solutions for real world problems. I think that's also what's great. It's not just a made up problem like NFTs or stuff like that. There's a real use case behind some venture projects, and I love to see that. And I think all the communications will be much more professional and active in the future as we are growing our team now. And that's what we are looking forward, I think.
There's lots of things I'm looking forward to. This is going to be a good year.
Absolutely, 100%. Is there anything left, Michael? What you want to say? I give you the last.
What do I want to say?
The word to end the video.
Well, first of all, I'd like to just thank Kevin from Finding for just coming up with this idea, for putting together the survey himself and getting it out there. That was a great idea. If it's not for things like that, then I'm a bit lazy on the marketing. I'm just coding all day. But this is important because we like to connect with the community and answer your questions and stuff. So thank you, Kevin, for that, for the idea. Thank you for everyone who filled in the survey and gave you questions and feedback. Other than that, I am really I'm heads down every day. I'm working on the last things for version 2. Go and check the master branch, the major branch in GitHub, and you'll see lots of commits, lots of cool features being added all the time. I'm really looking forward to diving into actually implementing the new admin UI stuff. That's going to be a lot of fun, a lot of CSS wrangling I'm going to be looking forward to there. And other than that, I just can't wait to get this final release out to show you all what we've been building for these past 2 years.